I'm going to clear the screen now, and I will post your assignment for today. We are on page 37. We are at the end of the chapter exercises. And at first, we're going to read Ikhʋnapisa. It says to read the following story and answer the questions about it. I'll read through the story, and you can send your answers to the question. Ninakash alatiko siyachuka antatuk. Ufi pit hanklutuk. Nita pit hanklutuk. Nashoba pit hanklutuk. Alatikat pit balili pisatuk. Himakma hashkiyat abuha alatuk. Yamat alatik osi pisatuk. Binilituk. Alatik micha hashkiyat palaska champuli apatuk. First question says, Alatikat aitanaha antatukon. 2. Ilapat katos pit hanklutukon. 3. Alatikat pit balili pisatukon. 4. Sapukniat abuha alatukon. 5. Tobihumma apatukon. And if you will send your answers to the questions, I would ask that you would make complete Choctaw sentences. The story is written in Choctaw. The questions are in Choctaw. So all I need is your answer in Choctaw. If you will make complete Choctaw sentences, I would appreciate that. And I'll wait for your answers to come in. That's okay. I'm receiving comments that you're not quite finished, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll go ahead and do the review, and then we'll come back next week and finish the rest of the page. But I just want to give you a little more on how these questions can be answered. We've done some, but not as extensive as this is. So let's just go over these, and we'll take a quick look. One of the things that I had asked you to do was to follow what the question is asking. That's usually a help. Let me make myself a couple of notes here. Okay, let's take a look at the first question. I'm going to clear the screen. The first question says, Alatikat aitanaha antatukon. Alatikat aitanaha antatukon. And in the first line, I keep seeing this message pop up, and it's because my book was laying on the keyboard. The first line of the story says, Ninakash alati kusiat chuka antatuk. And a lot of times in your questions, you're not going to have something that's going to pertain word for word from what the story is telling you. The question is asking, Alatikat aylaha antatuk. Well, in the first line, you see that she isn't. So your answer here would be kio. And if you follow what the question is asking, kio alatikat aitanaha antatuk kio, Kiyo alatikat aitanaha antatuk kiyo. And I've mentioned that there are two ways that you can answer a no question. You can follow what the question is asking, and you can follow, or you can give a response following the facts. So the first way would be to follow the question saying alatikat aitanaha antatuk kiyo. And then you, the other no answer would be Kiyo alatikat Choctaw antatuk, because in the story she is at Choctaw, not Aitanaha. So you can, there's two ways you can answer this by saying where she is or where she is not. And on 2, ilapat katospit hanklodamo, and I don't like to use the term ilapat as a third person because we have not studied third person. I'm sorry, we have not studied pronouns yet, but in this chapter, it kind of touches on that. And sometimes I say some information in the book kind of gets the cart before the horse. But there is that page that tells you that yamma can be used as a third person pronoun. I prefer not to use it in that manner because there are so many other uses for yamma and ilapa that we don't need to use them as third person. I prefer to use the unmarked third person. But here it says ilapat katospit hanklotogon, making reference to the girl. And here is a no answer, so you could answer according to what the question is asking. Kiyo katospit hanklotok kiyo katospit hanklotok, or you can use the term alatik. Kiyo alatika katospit hanklotok kiyo. And then you can also tell what she did here. Kiyo alatikat ofi nita mecha nashoba pit hanklotok. And you can go back and pick up that that noun as the subject of the sentence. Kiyo alatikat ofi nita mecha nashoba pit hanklotok. And that would be following what the story tells you. Because the story says ofi pit hanklotok, nita pit hanklotok, nashoba pit hanklotok. So you can put all of those in the sentence and separate them with commas, just like we do in English. Kiyo alatikat ofi nita mecha nashoba pit hanklotok. And number 3, alatikat balilit pisatokon. This question, the story, does not require the use of pit. It does not require the use of pit in this particular instance. It's not necessary. So the question would be alatikat balilit pisatokon, and she did. So your question would be your answer would be alatikat balilit pisatok. Number 4 is also a no answer. Sapukniat abuha alatoko. And in the story it says hashkiat abuha alatok. So it was not sapukni. And you can answer by saying kiyo sapukniat abuha alatok kiyo, or kiyo hashkiat abuha alatok. And on number 5, tobihuma apato. And again, the questions are asked in third person, asking about someone. And like I said, we have not studied pronouns yet, so the questions are a little bit, maybe a little bit more difficult to understand because there are no subjects to go by to show you what the subjects are in the sentence. And this is another instance where I said the book is kind of getting the cart before the horse because it's giving you questions pertaining to pronouns that we have not studied yet. So the number 5 says tobihoma apatokon, and it's making reference to alatik and hashki, but it doesn't tell you that because, like I said, we've not studied pronouns yet. So then your answer to that question would be kiyo tobihoma apatokyo, or you can say kiyo palaska champuli apatok. Kiyo palaska champuli apatok. So again, this is probably something that may be a little bit difficult to understand because, like I said, it's using that unmarked third person and we have not studied pronouns yet. In one instance, it did use the word ilapat, which is not preferred by the consensus of the speakers of Choctaw, but it is in the book, and the book does use that, but the speakers, you probably won't hear many, if any, speakers using ilapat or yamat as the third person marker. We prefer to use the unmarked third person, but that's something that's not been studied yet. So again, let me go through these. Number 1, alatikat aitanaha antatokon. Kio alatikat aitanaha antatokio, or kio alatikat choka antatok. Number 2, katospit hanklotokon. Kio katospit hanklotokio. Kio ofe nita mecha nashoba pit hanklotok. 3, alatikat balilit pisatokon. Alatikat balilit pisatok. Number 4, sapukniat abuha alatokon. Kio sapukniat abuha alatokio, or kio hashkiat abuha alatok. Tobihuma apatokon. And again, this is the use of the third person pronoun they, but it's making reference to alatik micha hashki. Tobihuma apatokon. Kio tobihuma apatokio, or kio palaska champoli apatok. Okay, do you have any questions? I know that's, like I said, a little bit more confusing because we're used to seeing sentences using a noun and a subject marker, and not seeing that it really is picking up in chapter 5 that we have not studied yet. This is another one of those instances where it's not given a lesson. I do remember seeing one, but since the question has come, I don't see where that lesson is. But if you'll look on page 34 under idiomatic expressions, you're going to see apatpisa, where it says try to eat. You see the word apa with a T, try to eat, and then right underneath that you see balilit ishtia. Balilit ishtia means begin to. When we have a verb with the T form followed by pisa, it's going to give the sense of try to whatever that verb is. In this instance, try to eat. It could also give the sense of tasting something, not just simply try to eat, but just to taste something. But there is a lesson on that. It may not be in this particular chapter, and this is one of those instances where I said that sometimes the lessons aren't there, but something gets thrown in without an explanation of its use. And then we have the word ishtia, and then we see that we see that preceded by a verb that also has the T form, and then ishtia. This is giving the sense of begin to, whatever that verb is, begin to. So in the idiom on page 34 where it says balilit ishtia, ishtia is going to give the sense of begin to and whatever the verb is. In this instance, it means begin to run, because balili is the word that's going to take the T form. Balilit ishtia, begin to run. If we said ipat ishtia, that would mean begin to eat. If we said nowat ishtia, begin to walk. Whatever that verb is with the T form followed by ishtia is going to give the sense of begin to whatever the verb is. If it's followed by a T and then pisa, then it's going to give the sense of try to whatever the verb is. And I do know there's a lesson on that in here, but I'm not sure where it is, and I'm glad you brought that out, because it is there, but there's no explanation why. But we will have that answer. I mean, we will have that lesson in time. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and close class, and I will see you on Monday. And next week will be the last week that we will have classes. We get 2 weeks off during winter break, but I'm going to take an extra week because I have all my time built up from attending cultural meetings. So I will be taking an extra week. So next week will be our last week to meet until January. So if there's nothing else, I'm going to close class, and I will see you guys on Monday. Chipin sa lachiki, yakuki.